centuries, the angels have claimed their share of the world's finest bourbon. A dark spirit has been stirring. During its long rest, before we bottle it up, 30% of the bourbon evaporates from the barrel. This has long been known as the angel share. After aging, when the bourbon is taken from the barrel, a certain amount of whiskey is left trapped within the wood. This is called the devil's cut. The flavor can no longer be contained. Jim Beam has decided to unleash one hell of a bourbon for a full-bodied, wicked flavor. Hold on to your horns. Jim Beam, Devil's Cut.
Alright. Welcome to Operation End Times. Today is October 25th, 2013. I'm your Jedi warrior for Jesus, Ben Ellisted, and I'm going to fire up a little bit of music, so bear with me for a second. Okay, here we go. Alright, we'll adjust it down a little bit, but I'm Ben Ellisted, your Jedi warrior for Jesus. Today, I'm going to do, I think it's either part 6 or 7 of the Gird Thy Loins series, but I'm going to try and wrap it up. I'm going to call this one the Devil's Cut. You know, what the heck, I just ran that video. But, I'll tell you what, that video in and of itself is a big old distortion, because the devil ain't got no cut. You know, the truth is, the devil will cut you up. You know, you won't get cut up? Dance with the devil. But, you know, Jesus Christ, you know, he ain't cutting the devil anything. You know, he's going to fight for each and every one of us. But there's a lot of distortion going on around there. You know, the devil has to crawl on his belly, eating dust. But the way to kind of throw it out there is the devil has been cut off. His eye has been darkened out. You know, I would say Odin, you know, he represents Satan, man. You know, and I'm a Viking, you know, Thor, Loki, the movie's coming out November 8th, you know. That's 11 times 8, 88. The 88s are in play, you know, Comet ISON. I just did a video over on Tribulation 0515 2011 talking about ISON. I didn't even get everything out there, but there's all sorts of stuff popping off, you know. The sun's going berserk. There's all sorts of solar flares coming. I could have actually predicted that in the Tribulation video I made back on the 23rd, but I decided not to, because it ain't about trying to prove, oh, hey, I could see future events or I know things. But, you know, the numbers, they're everywhere. And, you know, I'm going to put links back on that video. You know, my computer's been down for the last couple of days, but I'm going to try and put some links over on this video, too. Links to information that confirms, you know, a lot of the stuff that I throw out there, you know. But, you know, the sunspot, there's Space Weather Channel, and, you know, I don't even know who does it. You know, I'll assume it's NASA or something, but they got photos of the sun, and they number the sunspots and the coronal holes, right? So, I seen the one sunspot, because at one point, their numbering system was matching up with my tribulation count, but I seen the one sunspot rotating around. Its number was 11,877, and I thought, that sunspot's going to go off. It's going to pop off, you know, and that's the sunspot that's going off. And there was another one that was 11,8, you know, something, but I could just see from the numbers, you know, that something was going to happen. And the ones coming around, you know, in the next couple of days as we head into November with Comet ISON coming, you know, the numbering on those is there too, you know, because it's 88. It's 1188, you know. Is that by coincidence? No, my friends. The eights are in play. The eighth note, the dissonant note, cognitive dissonance. You know, when God made the foundations of our universe, laid the foundations, everybody was singing in harmony. You know, the angels, the morning stars, the sons of God. But, you know, I'm not a musician, but there's the dissonant note, which is the note that doesn't sound right with the other notes, you know. And that was the fall, the shadow that got created, you know. The darkness within darkness, because there is darkness, light and darkness, but darkness in and of itself isn't evil, you know. But darkness is a phrase that we use to describe evil. But guess what? Evil does like to hide in the shades. They like to lurk around. So, you know, have a flashlight or something, because if you're going down a dark alley, it might be kind of dangerous, you know. But likewise, if you're going down a spiritual shadow path, it's the same concept. You know, there are stones. If you're not seeing things because you're in darkness, you're going to stumble and bumble like a drunkard. But to try and get this back on track, you know, this is the final Gird Thy Loins. You know, the girdle, we've talked about what it is. You know, there are girdles for men, but there's also girdles for women. And a girdle on a woman, you know, helps transfigure her to make her beautiful, her figure beautiful. And, you know, that's kind of in play, because all of us need to gird ourselves. And the manifestation, based on what sound you're hearing, whether you're hearing harmony, you know, walking in love, truth, and peace, or you're hitting a discord note. And, you know, I was researching dissonance. But in Western civilization, it was called the emancipation of the dissonance. Ever higher overtone series of harmonic timbres, you know, because we use electronics, electronic guitar and whatnot, they could mix more and more distortion and dissonance in with the music, you know. And, you know, dissonance in and of itself is not bad. But when you look up consonance and dissonance, that you come across this phrase, which is cognitive dissonance, where they then show you like 6 different groups of people and how they get affected by dissonance. And it's like manifesting kind of bad things, confusion, you know, hatred, whatever. But, you know, 2013, you know, it's kind of knowing where you stand, what's inside of you. But the manifestation is the beauty and the beast. And, you know, what we're approaching is where we've been in like a linear existence. It's now going to be this circular existence. So it's all about events and experiences. And it's not when they happen, the linear line. It's how many times they happen, you know, and how much time is between each happening. But our perception and measurement of time is going to change, because it's been just on a freaking line, which was, oh, that was 100 years ago, who cares? Or that's 1,000 years in the future, who cares? But, you know, if you stop viewing things like that, and you get into this more infinite mindset, you know, of how time operates, is that it is experiences that repeat over and over and over again. It's just a matter of whether we're learning something from it or not. Because if you ain't learning, you're going to keep repeating it. But it's kind of the manifestation of the beauty and the beast. That's the theme, you know, which is those who learn and are walking in the light become the beauty. They're transfigured, you know. They're girded in truth, their foundation in love, you know. And, you know, women, it's not just women, but we use them because that's just kind of how it is. You know, women are beautiful. They vibrate out and project, most of them. It's the mother, you know, love, acceptance, you know, mercy, compassion, just, man, all the good things of life kind of have a feminine woman, you know, attachment to them. But I'm going to tell you, you know, the mature man walking in the kingdom, he's in touch with his feminine side, because he's not afraid to love somebody or to have compassion or mercy. But that's all the beauty, you know, whereas the beast is the male ego, you know, where you're wanting to kick somebody's ass all the time, you're maybe not thinking straight, you're quick to react, that's why a lot of times, like the man or the father, like especially in the family unit, he's kind of given the responsibility of inflicting punishment, So we start forming this false image of a father, is that he's the one who deals out the punishment, whereas the truth is either the mother or the father can punish, and it's always your choice on how you want to punish somebody. And punishment in and of itself, only serves so much of a purpose, But fathers, are absolutely loving if they want to be, So, what we got to stop doing is painting with broad brushstrokes groups of people in order to divide them. But that is, a divided kingdom cannot stand. And I'm going to tell you, the kingdom of mankind got divided via sex, into men and women, the battle of the sexes, and it goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, because mankind was already on the planet, and then God formed Adam, and he was a special spiritual man, because all the rest of mankind, they had no light of God in them. They had forgotten who he was. They couldn't see him no more. But Adam was created, and you know what? Adam, unfortunately, he didn't do so good. He kind of latched on and started looking at things through his carnal eye. But he was special, and he was a lord, and how he lorded over people, we'll have to see. But when he was naming all the beasts, which I believe was kind of designating people on a sexual basis, like you're a man, you're a woman, because I think humans were just a little bit different back then. I could be wrong on that, but ultimately, he couldn't find a helpmeet. Now, if it was people, why would God have Adam meeting the animals looking for a sexual partner? See, that's why that kind of falls apart. And people who want to say he was naming the animals, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, man. Because the very next thing that happens is God creates Eve. So Eve, it was because Adam couldn't find anybody that was spiritually his match. So I'll tell you what happened. That story in Genesis 2, that's the story of the creation of womankind. And Adam announces it, because once she's there, he goes, this is woman, because she was brought forth from the womb of a man, But that was a whole new grouping of people on a spiritual level, too. Because God is the male nature, in his relationship to mankind, except mankind couldn't handle it, his ego, So then womankind was created, whose natural nature is to accept it, the marriage to the man, And God isn't a man or a woman, but I'm just saying in the relationship with man, that's how it kind of works, is, when you think of a man to a woman, not that a man should be lording to a point where it's enslaving a woman, because the woman is not to be enslaved. And that's where marriage is this huge dark thing, and I've talked so much about it, where people think marriage is this super blessed event, but marriage is super dark. And, most people point to Adam and Eve, where they say that's where the first marriage occurred, because Adam says this is why a man would leave his father and his mother to be one with the woman. But maybe on a spiritual level, that he was saying, I would leave God to be with her, because she's, there's this dark side, the sacred feminine, which Eve fell prey to, which is her own ego, because, see, spiritually, you can switch sides, you can start off as mankind and go to womankind, but I'm going to tell you, mankind, the sad part is that's the shadow path. Mankind, the wages of sin are death, and mankind already got kind of wiped off the map once, and it was only Noah, out of all of mankind, where he had a perfect heart, and that heart, I'm going to tell you, the heart is the compassion, the love, the knowledge, the wisdom, and wisdom is referred to as a woman, so I'm just telling you, Noah was in touch with his feminine side too. But going back to the Garden of Eden, whatever marriage was going on in there, the serpent came into the garden. And he probably had sex with his brother's wife, you know, because the serpent might have been some kind of relationship to Adam. But if not, it doesn't even matter. It's like adultery, you know. So, you know, Eve found the serpent pleasant, you know. And that whole thing with adultery kind of ties into the uncovering of a person, you know. And that's talked about a lot in the Bible. And Noah, who was the 8th generation, the 8th note, Noah, the note, you know, when he got off the boat after he had transferred through the flood, he had a vineyard, he grew some wine, got drunk, and passed out, and his nakedness was uncovered by Ham. But the guy that got cursed was Ham's son, Canaan. So I'm telling you, something went down there. I'm going to research it a little bit further, but, you know, either somebody had sex with Noah's wife, or they uncovered some dirt about Noah, you know, because Noah's perfection was in his heart. Other than that, Noah was a regular dude just like me or you, you know, and that's where, you know, if you understand what the concept of washing feet is, where Jesus washed feet, we all have dirt on our feet, man. But as brothers and sisters, we don't go around pointing out the splinter in each other's eyes and uncovering our nakedness and our shame. You know, that's not how it works. Like, oh, I disagree with you spiritually, so here's some dirt, you know. Like this person, you know, did this or did that at once upon a time, and now you shouldn't believe anything they said, you know. Right there, you know, you shall know them by their fruits, you know. But, you know, on the light side, you know, there is marriage on earth, but Jesus talks about you know, the symbolism is Jesus is the groom and we are the bride. So it's reestablishing that groom to bride relationship with mankind, or womankind, you know. But, you know, the whole wedding scenario, you know, is in play as well. But all throughout the Bible and like the Old Testament, you know, Israel was a bride, because it's like someone picked out, like you're choosing a wife. And Israel, you know, that's the history through that Old Testament, is that Israel was not the faithful wife, you know, that she pretty much, you know, committed adultery with everybody. So it didn't really sit well with God, and that's where, you know, you get these terms, the harlot, you know, and divorcing, you know. But what's in play is God, you know, putting aside all that. You know, I kind of know a little bit about what that's about, because my divorce went horribly, and I had a lot of darkness in me, but as I've moved on down the road and grown, I have no darkness no more. I've put it all behind me, you know. So, you know, whether you find somebody new or you find somebody old, it just doesn't even matter, as long as, you know, you're now seeing the light, and it's love just propelling you in your sails, no matter what direction you're going. But you know, the light and the dark, they're reflections. There's a dark marriage, Jezebel, the wife to the devil's cut. You know, the devil don't get no cut. But there's the girdle, which represents our closeness and our relationship with God, because it's the tightest garment on the body. It transfigures us. It transfigures the woman, the womankind. You know, it's God molding us. We're all vessels. We're all pieces of clay. He makes us first into a flask that can handle the task, and maybe down the road you become a mighty flagon that can slay a dragon. But it's the walk in the kingdom, my friends. But, you know, a girdle can be sexy, but here's something kind of weird, is that if you're actually wearing a girdle, it's almost like a chastity belt, so you might not be able to actually have sex, even though, you know, our world is driven by the spirit of sex, and, you know, even girdles today are designed for sex, you know. But I'm just saying, if you were wearing a girdle, you would probably have to take off the girdle to actually have sex, so in that regard, it, you know, stops sex. But when you look at these various words in the Bible, you know, there's like sex, hex, and vex, right? Hex is casting a spell, like when someone's in love with you, they're under your spell. Vex is used 15 times. It's to oppress, to suppress, to do wrong. It could be your government or your city or the people, to act violently. It's heat. It's the sword. You know, and then the root words of it kind of break down to forsaken and lonely. You know, Adam was a lonely boy. He was vexed. Lot, you know, he cast his lot with the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he got vexed. His spirit suppressed. But that's womankind, you know. She got vexed by the devil. You know, devil wanted her for his cut. Got vexed and suppressed. And part of what cast that net was sex. And sex is like, you know, a web. You know, you can be addicted to sex. Sex drives pretty damn near everything we got going in our society, you know. So, believe it or not, you know, you can't serve two masters. So, part of, on the light side, you know, when you gird thy loins, there's a sexual side to it too, because you're not being promiscuous, you're not committing adultery, and the girdle for you is a form of chastity or abstinence, you know. But that being said, if you have sex, I'm not saying you cannot have sex, but there's just this huge dark side to it, you know, where if you are enslaved, you have no restraint on yourself to your lust and your desire to fulfill your sexual desires. You know, that is a huge dark path. But that's kind of in play. And you know, like I said, this channel is for adults. But when it comes to sex, you know, Noah was the eighth note. Jewish children get circumcised on the 8th day, and that's what the Lord told them they had to do, is cut off a piece of their penis, known as circumcision, which is a round circle, you know, as a sign of their commitment to following God. I will tell you, me personally, it's okay if you got circumcised. I'm not circumcised. But cutting the flesh off of your penis, that is a three-dimensional manifestation of uppers and lowers, and it is really the carnal manifestation of it. So it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the spiritual manifestation, which is whether you have a circumcised heart. And that means you have cut off the darkness, you know, like Jesus is now ruling your heart. So you don't have any hatred, no bitterness, no envy, no jealousy, and all those, you know, bitter seeds and dark things and stumbling stones. You've circumcised your heart and gotten rid of them. But on the carnal manifestation, girding thy loins is kind of a little bit a part of it, because like I said, if you're girded, then you're not, you're binding your own lifestyle and spiritual walk, that you're not, you know, on one hand you're being freed, you know, but you know, you're not bound to what was enslaving you before. You know, better to be enslaved to God than to be enslaved to your own sinful nature, you know, your own spirit of wickedness. So, you know, the numbers are in play. The 44s, you know, think about it. You have a 4 head and you have a 4 skin. That's 44. The 4 skin represents the micro, you know, letting your little head do the thinking here on earth, where your whole life is focused towards sex. And that's kind of how our society works, you know, even when we measure time, you know, like guys say to each other, hey, when was the last time you got laid? You know, so that just kind of, you know, is a physical and a dark spiritual manifestation of somebody that's walking on shadow path, because that's how they're measuring their existence, is the days between the event of having sex, you know. And you know, if you're marking it down on a calendar, then you're really enslaved to it, you know. My answer to most of those kind of questions is like, what business is it of yours, you know? But your forehead, hey, that's carnal thought too. That's using your own foreknowledge to try and plot your future versus trusting in God and always seeking to fulfill His will and the destiny that He has laid out for you. But you trust your own knowledge, you know, the knowledge of good and evil. I know better. I'll blow my own wind into my sails. And see, that's what's happening, my friends. November 3rd, as ISON kind of crosses the plane, the ship's setting sail. You know, we're transferring across. There's 77 days, give or take a day, you know, towards Hanukkah. And there's these 8-day cycles, you know, circumcision, spiritual birth. Who knows, man? The glory of God's going to shine forth like we have never seen, you know, and I think it will literally light up the heavens. You know, great changes upon us, man, for those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You know, are you hearing harmony or are you hearing dissonance, you know? But, you know, sex, once again, drives the planet. You know, while Jesus tells you to renew your spirit and mind, you know, the carnal world tells you to renew your sexual vitality by taking drugs like Viagra, you know, which if you have a hard-on for more than 4 hours, you know, is it just a coincidence that it's 4 hours? Like, why wouldn't it be 3 hours or 5 hours, you know? But no, it's, if your hard-on's there for more than 4 hours, call for a doctor, man, you know? But, you know, Viagra is like, you know, probably one of the biggest money-making schemes and rackets on the planet. Just to, you know, there's a lot of things about Jesus was put up on the cross, and he was pierced by a spear, a beam, and you notice that commercial was for Jim Beam, you know. So once again, it's what kind of a beam is going to be piercing into you, a beam of light or a beam of Jim Beam, you know, a dark spirit that's going to vex your soul, man, and take you down a path to destruction. And it's not God destroying you, man. Over on the light side, there's protection, happiness, you know, like life is good, man. So it's your own foolishness. And there might be principalities over there, you know, the devil, Satan, whoever, man. And they're already doomed, so he's willing to take as many with him as possible. But it's your own spirit, and you know, when you're thinking you're seeing God manifesting in some horrible dark way, you know, a huge storm blowing your house down, or a disease, or whatever, man, hey, you know what, that's actually you and Satan hooking up together, and God's just kind of removed his hand from protecting you, because you ain't seeing him, you ain't walking with him, you know. But what I'll tell you is, there is a path of redemption for everybody. So, you know, the only moment you're going to waste in your life is the very next moment that you don't turn around and start walking back towards God, you know. That's the event. How many of those events? You only need one of those events in your life. It's a singularity. You know, it will change everything, man. Yeah. But, hey, you know what? That uncovering, like with Noah, you know, Canaan got cursed, you know, something went on there, back doors, because all that uncovering stuff, I think it was in Leviticus or whatever, but, you know, there's all these rules about don't uncover your brother, your father, your sister, your mother, whatever, you know. But that doesn't say don't deal with something, you know, but it's like you just don't show it to the whole world to cause shame. But that's part of this event that's unfolding, is that if you're not covered by Jesus, because he'll give you some clean raiment where you can stand and he'll be your advocate, otherwise you're on your own, or you're trusting in that devil over there to somehow provide you some kind of cover, man. It ain't gonna happen. So my final thought, my friends, is we live in the most amazing times, and we must all gird our loins, you know. And this is the final kind of thought that God put on me on it, is, you know, Jesus hanging there on the cross, man, you know, I don't like visualizing that a whole lot, and I don't walk around with a cross, because to me that was a dark time as mankind nailed him up there. You know, they had beaten him, tortured him, they had crushed into his head a crown of thorns, which are all the accusations and, you know, afflictions and stumbling stones and seeds of doubt that mankind has ever had. They crushed it right into his brain, you know, and then they stabbed him through with the spear, and, you know, the dark clouds formed. And it was only then somebody said, surely this was the Son of God, you know. But, you know, as he hung up there on the cross, you know, most images we have of it, the one piece of clothing that he still has on him was his loincloth. You know, he wasn't butt naked, you know. And all I could tell you, you know, some people will say, hey, you know what, that he was naked up there. Well, whatever. I'm just saying, you know, right now, that image we have of him hanging there, where he's taken on the sins of the world, he had his loincloth on, which, you know, is tattered, and as it was, that was all he had, which was, and that's the lesson we need to learn, my friends, is, you know, you don't want to get to that point. You know, I've kind of been there. That's my truth, you know. I've been to the point of death several times, you know, when I contracted diabetes and flesh-eating bacteria, you know. They were going to cut my legs off. I was in darkness, man, and you know who showed up? Jesus, that's right. You know, but that loincloth, man, when he hung there and he was abandoned by everybody, all he had was his relationship with God, and that's why he was asking, why have you forsaken me? But the truth is, God didn't forsake Jesus. Jesus, he was God, man. So, he's victorious, man. And what happened there is he freed us, man, because he took the keys from the devil, the keys for the devil's cuT, the keys to the gates of hell, man. And that's what's going to be happening, is there's going to be a march back the other way. The Jesus cuT, yeah. The Good Shepherd. So anyway, my friends, keep your eyes to the sky. I do believe ISON is brightening, as we speak. I'm going to try and get all these dates that I went through over on Tribulation 515 out there. But there are amazing things happening. There are planet alignments happening all over the place in the next 70 days or so. And I think the earthquake potential is off the charts as well. There's bitter cold that's sweeping across the upper northern hemisphere. Sister Anna was talking about a pole shift and, wicks burning. That could be the wicked wicks burning, But, the wick burning, the wicked burning, that's just the circumcision. It's for the good of humanity. It is God cleansing house. I had to clean my house the other day, and I needed to do my toilets. I didn't have any Comet, man. That's like Ajax, but I went to the store and I got 2 things of Comet, but Comet's the cleanser, man. And guess what? Comet ISON's up there, Enki, Lovejoy. Some kind of cleansing's going to start going down, Have no fear. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm just telling you, there's great joy pouring forth. Joy to the world. Hark, the herald angels sing. Glory to the newborn king. The 3 kings, KKK has been out there all over the place. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, baptizing their baby. Kennedy Skakel, KKK, them releasing him out of prison. On MSNBC, they had the 3 kings being played, the Ku Klux Klan. But it all points to the 3 kings are arriving. It's the 3 kings of Orion, which is the figured person in the skies. But the kings preceded the birth of Christ Jesus, and lo and behold, they followed the star Bethlehem, which a lot of people think that is what ISON is, on a 333-year orbit, my friends. We shall see. We shall see. At least those who have eyes. All right. Hey. God bless you all. May this holiday season manifest to the glory of God for you if your eyes and ears are open. And for those that have a shadow across their eye and have stumbled, let's pick them up and let's pray for them, And, we're all going to follow the same path of light and glory as the saints go marching in, my friends. All right. Hey, take care. This is Operation End Times. I'm your Jedi Warrior for Jesus. Keep on shining.